The history of secret societies and clandestine organizations dates back centuries. Anything unknown traditionally sparks a plethora of speculations and assumptions in the public's mind. However, much is known today about some of these secret organizations, their principles, and their charters. Freemasons. The Masonic organization officially came into existence in 1717, although there are documents suggesting that this group's activities were documented as early as the 14th century. Initially, the fraternity was established for people who shared the key philosophical ideas of that era, including a belief in a supreme being. Freemasons placed a particular emphasis on matters of morality, and as a result, many of the lodge leaders became known for their charitable activities and civic works. Despite these harmless qualities, the Freemasons were not without their critics. Conspiracy theorists accuse them of being involved in heinous occult practices and even political plots. Religious institutions of all denominations tend to criticize the Masons because their moral teachings and esoteric spiritual beliefs clash with traditional religion. In the old days, Freemasonry was based on unique traditions and principles. However, today, with so many members and lodges scattered worldwide, maintaining these traditions has become challenging. One practice that remains unchanged is the method of induction. An initiate must be vouched for by someone already in the Masonic order, and to attain the master level, an individual must pass through 3 distinct levels. Members have prescribed modes of greeting each other, including handshakes, gestures, and passwords, and non-members are prohibited from attending meetings. The number of known Freemason members is truly impressive, including figures like Winston Churchill, Mark Twain, Henry Ford, and Benjamin Franklin. Today, the Freemasons are less influential and secretive than ever before but remain one of the world's most renowned fraternities. There are officially around 5 million Freemasons worldwide. Assassins. The Assassins, or Nizari, were a mysterious group of Muslims that operated in the Middle East during the 13th century. The group consisted of Shiites who split from the main sect and came together with the aim of establishing their utopian state. As the order had very few members, they opted to use guerrilla tactics against their enemies, including espionage, sabotage, and political assassinations. The assassins would infiltrate their highly trained agents into enemy cities and bases, instructing them to strike at precisely designated times. These covert killers were known for their efforts to minimize civilian casualties, and their targets were often unnerved by the invisibility of their assailants. According to historical accounts, enemy leaders would wake up in the morning to find an assassin's dagger on their pillow with a note reading, "You are within our grasp." Over time, the legend of the clandestine order grew. Even before the organization was ultimately destroyed by the Mongols, the hired assassins became reputed for allegedly carrying out contracts for historical figures like King Richard the Lionheart. Around the same time that the order disbanded, their entire library containing Nizari records was destroyed. So much information was lost that today the assassins appear as mere myths. There is a disputed legend about the order's use of a group of drugs and intoxicants. The very word hashashin translates roughly to users of hashish, indicating a possible use of stimulants in combat. The term itself was discredited, but later the Nizari transformed it into the modern word assassin. The Bilderberg Club. Founded in the mid-20th century, conspiracy theory enthusiasts often label the Bilderberg Club as a global government. Its members are influential politicians, financiers, businessmen, and media magnates from Europe and North America, totaling about 400 people. They gather annually to discuss pressing global issues. However, they don't make any concrete decisions, or at least that's what the organization's website claims, but it's impossible to verify. Attendance to the forum is strictly by invitation only. Outsiders, including journalists, are not permitted to attend the meetings. Recording these meetings is prohibited. Representatives from Russia occasionally become guests of the Bilderberg Club. Among them are the founder of Yabloko, Grigory Yavlinsky, politician Gary Kasparov, and the head of Rosnano, Anatoly Chubais. Illuminati. One of the most recognized symbols of the Illuminati, the glowing delta, is found on the $1 US bill. Under the brand Illuminati, various organizations have existed at different times and, surprisingly, continue to exist today. The first official Brotherhood of the Enlightened was formed in Bavaria in 1776. Followers of this order fought against religion and promoted liberal ideas. The movement was banned by authorities a few years after its foundation. Its ideologue, the professor of canonical law, Adam Weishaupt, died in exile. However, rumors suggest the Illuminati simply continued their activities, fully retreating into the shadows. They are credited with creating the USA and instigating the October Revolution in Russia. Due to their frequent mentions in popular literature, the Illuminati still evoke fear today. Modern conspiracy theorists assert that the secret society managed to survive and now exists as a sinister shadow government, directing the actions of global politics and industry towards their desired course. In the 21st century, interest in the Illuminati was rekindled following the release of the book Angels Demons by American author Dan Brown. In the story, the descendants of the secret society seek revenge against the Vatican for their slain comrades. Skull and Bones. The most famous members of this secret society were George H. W. Bush, as well as George W. Bush and John Kerry. Ivy League colleges are known for their numerous secret societies and student organizations. Skull and Bones from Yale University is the most renowned among them. Founded in 1833, its members were traditionally from the aristocracy, Protestants, and of Anglo-Saxon descent. Today, new members join the society every spring, with the only tangible criterion being that the candidate must be a campus leader. Consequently, the secret organization includes athletes, student council members, and presidents of other fraternities. From Skull and Bones emerged several U.S. presidents, numerous senators, and Supreme Court judges. This has led to the belief that the organization is semi-covert, uniting the country's political elite. No one denies that the club is well-financed. Its alumni created the Russell Trust Association, which holds the society's funds. Rumors even suggest the group owns a private island in the northern part of New York State. Although the secret practices of Skull and Bones aren't entirely hidden, rumors about obligatory rituals persist. While the society meets twice a week, it remains unknown what they discuss. To the disappointment of conspiracy enthusiasts, all credible rumors are fairly benign. The group is predominantly associated with college pranks. Legends about Skull and Bones claim that new members must divulge their sexual fantasies, and there's also a dissection of sexual tales from their childhood and adolescence. Nicknames are also given to all society members. For instance, the tallest among them is called Long Devil, and the one with the most sexual experience is dubbed Magog. This was the nickname for William and Robert Taft, as well as George H. W. Bush. However, George W. Bush, seemingly unable to charm the group with any notable talents, was given the nickname Temporary. The Order of the Eastern Templars. This order is a mystical organization that appeared at the beginning of the 20th century. The scheme is similar to a less hidden association, the Masons. The Eastern Templars rely on ritual and occult practices as a means to move members of the community from one level to another. The general philosophy of the order is based on a new era of esoteric principles and practices as a way to realize true identity. Most of the group's knowledge, including the Manifesto of Mysteria Mystica Maxima, belongs to the famous eccentric occultist Aleister Crowley. It was he who later became the head of this secret society. After Crowley's death, the influence and popularity of the order waned, but today there are many more branches of the community scattered around the world. These are mainly the USA, Great Britain, and European countries. The growing popularity of Aleister Crowley at one time led to the fact that his brainchild, the Order of the Eastern Templars, eventually came to light. As a result, the organization has become much less secret than before. However, this does not mean the loss of the most intimate and forbidden practices. The main one is the association of sexual preferences, especially the doctrine of phallus worship and the magic of masturbation. The Black Hand. The most famous member of this secret organization was Gavrilo Princip. The Black Hand, also known as Unity or Death, was a nationalist, terrorist organization. It comprised anti-imperialist revolutionaries who fought for Serbia's liberation from Austro-Hungarian rule. The Black Hand emerged in 1912. It's believed that the organization initially branched off from People's Defense, a group aiming to unify all Slavic peoples in Europe. Considering its objectives, the organization began anti-Austrian propaganda, training saboteurs and assassins to overthrow the provincial government. The plan was to incite a war between Austria and Serbia, which would allow an escape from imperial oppression and the unification of Slavic nations. Colonel Dragutin Dimitrijevic, the chief of Serbian counter-intelligence, led the Black Hand. In effect, the entire state apparatus of the country was under the secret organization's control. The activities of this terrorist organization would have been forgotten today if it were not for the Black Hand's involvement in one of the most significant events of the 20th century. In 1914, a group of terrorists from Young Bosnia, an affiliate of the Black Hand, assassinated the Austrian Archduke Ferdinand, sparking the onset of World War I. Events spiraled from there. Soon after, Austro-Hungary declared war on Serbia, and allies from both sides got involved. The ruins of World War I later set the stage for World War II and subsequently the Cold War. Thus, the Black Hand can be regarded as one of the most influential forces in the tumultuous 20th century. Knights of the Golden Circle. This secret society flourished in the USA during the American Civil War. Initially, the group sought to support the annexation of Mexico and the West Indies, which might have revitalized the dying slave trade. However, with the onset of hostilities, the Knights shifted their focus from colonization to fervently supporting the new Confederate government. The organization had several thousand followers who even formed their own guerrilla units and began raiding fortresses in the West. In the northern states, the mysterious order also held significant influence. Many newspapers and public figures sympathized with the Southerners, including President Franklin Pierce, who was a member of the Knights. Unlike most other secret societies that focused primarily on clandestine meetings and mysterious plans, the Knights managed to organize their own army and try to address their issues through a show of force. In 1860, the militant group attempted an invasion of Mexico. During their own war, the Knights robbed stagecoaches and even tried to block the port in San Francisco. For a brief period, they even managed to take control of the southern state of New Mexico. With the end of the Civil War, the organization's activities gradually waned, though many accuse it of orchestrating Lincoln's assassination. Thule Society. The most notable members of this German occult and political secret society were Rudolf Hess, Arthur Rosenberg, and, according to rumors, even Adolf Hitler himself. While many secret organizations are merely suspected of having hidden motives, in the case of the Thule Society, it was all proven. Shortly after the end of World War I, this organization was unofficially established in Germany. Initial Masonic ideas quickly shifted to occult beliefs, and over time the society began to promote the ideology of Aryan race supremacy. This manifested in a racist approach towards Jews and other minorities. Eventually, the secret society boasted several thousand members and even published its own propaganda newspaper. In 1919, members of the Thule Society founded the German Workers' Party. A young Adolf Hitler later joined it, and the party transformed into the National Socialist German Workers' Party, giving birth to Nazism. Members of the Thule Society, long before the rise of Nazism, were involved in peculiar activities. They were fervently trying to trace the origins of the Aryan race, searching for them in the mythical land of Thule. According to legends, this mythical land with an advanced civilization existed somewhere near the North Pole, with Iceland being all that remains of the submerged land. Numerous conspiracy theories surround the Thule Society. Although the organization was banned by Hitler, it is said that they passed on to him the magical secrets of power and successful public speaking. Sons of Liberty. The Sons of Liberty was a loosely organized group of dissidents who operated in America even before the War of Independence. Their objective was to instigate changes in British legislation concerning the governance of the colonies. The Sons of Liberty didn't exist as a secret society in the traditional sense of the word, rather, they were a coalition of patriot groups rallying behind a shared goal. They typically met in Boston, near an elm tree which later became known as the Liberty Tree. It was here that the group devised their resistance policy, which included disseminating pamphlets and even some acts of sabotage and terrorism. Such actions led the English to pursue the Sons of Liberty, deeming their activities criminal. They even began referring to the organization as the Sons of Violence. Ultimately, the group became among the most notable in planting the seeds of revolution among the colonists, and in coining the famous phrase "no taxation without representation." While the Sons of Liberty in Boston were the most renowned faction, branches existed across all 13 colonies. One faction in Rhode Island looted and burned the British trade ship Gaspee in protest against unfair laws, while others merely vilified British loyalists. But the most famous incident involving the Sons is the Boston Tea Party in 1773, when community members, disguised as Native Americans, dumped tea from British ships into the sea. These events set the stage for the American Revolution.